Hello, you're welcome to another edition of Life Experiences. We are here at Ileluji, Ondo State. It's amazing to be here today, and then you're going to be having wonderful, mind-blowing testimony experiences with no other but I will not introduce him. He will introduce himself. Sir, let us meet you.
Yeah. Thank you for coming around. My name's Adeduro Adegeye, a professor of agricultural economics.
Did you hear that, guys? He's a professor of agricultural economics. That's actually why we are here. You know, what does it mean to be a professor in agriculture? You know, do you economize the soil? Do you economize the seed? What is agricultural economics?
You know, that's very interesting. It came as a later discipline in agriculture. There used to be agronomy, animal science, and so on. But we discovered that to be able to come out and tell people how to make money from it, there must be somebody or a discipline that will show us how we can combine resources and be able to make profit. So that you can easily tell people outside, this is how to be, and you can become a profitable person in agriculture.
All right, okay, so we actually make money. In other words, we actually make a lot of money from agriculture. Okay.
No, we let people know that you can make a lot of money from agriculture. You see, the agronomist wants to grow his crops. He said, okay, he will plant very beautiful maize, and he will apply fertilizer, he will apply labor, and so on. When after that one, he goes to sell, does he make any profit? So the discipline tells him to say, come, before you even start, go and find out whether you can make profit from growing maize.
All right, so that's what we're going to find out today. How do you make profit from growing your maize or from agriculture? Daddy is here today to tell us how we make profit from agriculture. Stay tuned. We're here to learn how we can make profits from agriculture. So how do I make profit for agriculture? For instance, I want to plant cassava or I want to plant maize, like you said. How much land do I need to be able to plant my maize, to spend, and then how much, what is the duration of time for me to harvest my maize after planting, and then how much profit will I make? So all of this can be predicted before I ever go to the farm to plant. Please tell us the process. Yeah,
that's very nice. You already said it. In the traditional peasant farming system, the man just goes to any particular land and start planting. But maybe if it's a virgin forest, or he clears it and burns it. If it is a secondary forest, he does it. And normally we now say that to be able to make profit from agriculture, you must be able to know quite a bit of things around. You must know something about the soils. Is that okay? You must know something about the planting, the distance between one crop and the other. You must know what, if you have to apply any pesticide or fungicide and so on, you must know the time. So the agricultural economists will now come around and say, okay, for you to grow maize, you need a piece of land like this one, maybe 1 acre of land. But then you also need so many seeds of maize, maybe treated. You must also know how to plant them at a distance that is going to improve on the density of planting. Because normally the peasant farmer does one thing, which we are trying to correct. If he sees a plot of land, he goes to say, I want to plant maize and cassava. Is that okay? But the soil condition for the two are not the same. The fertilizer application for the two are not the same. So at the end of the day, it's going to have a little yield of maize, a little yield of cassava. Whereas what we now say is this: if you have 1 acre of land, what you do is just divide them into two. You just want to plant maize, and then you want to plant cassava, so that you can have management practices that are akin to the two crops. For instance, let's take maize or cassava. Let's say cassava. You want to plant cassava, you plant maize intercrop. If you want to do that one, you will not be able to plant more than about 12,000 stands per hectare. Is that okay? That is planting the two of them together. Whereas if you plant only cassava, you can plant up to 20,000 stands per hectare, and you'll be able to have higher yield. All right? But by the time you combine both maize and cassava, you discover that after the maize has been harvested, the cassava will remain and give you little yield. So if you want to do any profitable farming, you must find out whether the soil is all right, and then you consult those people in agronomy and their soil science, so that they can tell you what time of the year you have to go into it.
All right. So, in other words, if I want to plant 1 hectare of land for cassava,
Yeah.
I can already determine how many
Stands
so
per hectare,
per hectare.
Yeah.
And then, so if I have a fruitful year,
Yeah.
if I plant my cassava and I have a fruitful year from my 1 hectare of land, and I planted, you said how many stands?
About 20,000 stands per hectare.
Stands per hectare.
Yeah.
And I want to have a fruitful year from planting my 20,000 stand. And then how much can it be determined what I can get back as my
yes, we discovered that the traditional planting system gives only 12,000 about 12 tons per hectare, whereas the new one we are talking about can allow you to achieve as much as 20 tons per hectare. So there's a difference, almost 8 tons per hectare, if you follow what we are now saying you should do. That is, don't go and intercrop cassava with maize. Plant cassava sole, plant maize sole. So that's it. And then the amount of money you get from it depends upon the availability of the cassava, the demand and supply situation on the market, and the season. For instance, we're in the dry season, and they say garri prices have gone up. Apart from the bad currency, normally the cassava prices should go up in the dry season because it's difficult to uproot.
Okay.
It's difficult to uproot.
Okay.
So it requires more labor and so on and so on before you can uproot the cassava. So it adds to the cost of producing cassava during the dry season. So if we have a good planning procedure, we should produce a lot of cassava during the rainy season and store them as garri for the dry season.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that explains a whole lot. Okay, so now does this also apply to yam? To what can we really plant in Nigeria? That's, because today in Nigeria we have so much of land, and you look at here, we're sitting under this tree, and then it's very chilling, and like in fact I want to remain here if it is possible, so there's so much, there are lands, especially in the western region here. There's so much of land. Now, what are the things that people can majorly plant that does not require so much of technology?
No, what we're saying is that there are two things we are saying. We don't have too much land. For instance, in Ondo State, where we are talking from now, most of the lands have been occupied with cocoa, oil palm, and so on. So the only areas that are left are things that are marginal lands, land that you have to spend a lot of money on before you can get out the crops. But that does not say that we do not have enough land. What we are talking about is how intensive can we do it. Yeah, for instance, pepper, from only one plot of land, let's assume 100 by 100, and planting pepper, one can earn the salary of 2 degree holders. In a year. In a year. Just one plot of 100 feet by 100 feet. Planting the pepper at a distance of about maybe 10 feet apart. Or if you take a hectare, you can get as much as almost 40,000 hectares, stands per hectare of pepper. And the hectare is only 10 plots, 100 by 100, 10 plots. And you can not only employ yourself as a graduate, you can employ 2 other undergraduates in the place. And because they are shrubs, if you can add water during the dry season, you can keep them growing. Instead of saying they die this year and then you go and raise another one next year, no, they can become shrubs and be on the ground for the next 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the pepper. And of course, by the time you are taking care of them, they look like shrubs with so many branches, to the extent that by the time the second year, you may be harvesting more than about 500 fruits of pepper from one tree. That's it. So if you want to do it, particularly for us,
we
are talking about Atarodo, or the normal Atarodo, yeah, which is a common one. There's nobody who cooks without putting it. There are some others. The long one, the reddish, and the one that is. These are so many types of pepper. But the one that the commonest one there. When I was in government, I took interest in asking people to go on this and so on. Most people didn't follow it. One person, one teacher, waited in the place, is still making money today, almost 10 years or 15 years after.
Wow, interesting. And then, so with just planting of pepper, I can make 2 times salary of
a graduate. Yeah. On a small piece of land. And what to do is to make sure that is, because by the time they start fruiting in the place, and it's not affected by too much diseases and so, because when there is any problem with insects, we use pepper to control it. That is, if you have bees that have weeds and so on, if you want to control what is in there, you just have ground pepper and sprinkle on it, and you cover it. It will kill the weeds there. So the same principle, they themselves are not being attacked by insects on the field. They can be attacked by fungus and so on, and you have 1 or 2 things you can do to get over it.
What about plantain?
Yeah, okay. Again, when I was in government, I told the government at that time to say that plantain was getting off. And the governor asked me whether, what can we do? I said, what we'll do is to make sure, teach people how to multiply the suckers, which are the basic things for planting. That if you want to plant 1,000, you may have to go to about 4, 5, 6, up to 10 farms before you can get planting material. But if by what we know and what we teach to people, we have only 400, you can multiply to 2,000 within a period of 3 months.
Wow.
Just by taking, and in fact, it doesn't need any technology. It doesn't need anybody going to school. You might be a complete literate. I will teach you. When I was in government, I taught my driver, I taught my house help in the government quarters to teach people when they come. So when they come, they don't need me to come and teach them. My own driver, and so we teach people how to multiply them. And that's what we did. So within a period of 2 years, everywhere in Ondo State, it was all planted in Wena, in Ondo, in what is it, IBADAN, okay, and so on and one. It's all right. You said I should just introduce myself. I know that basically I am an economist. Yes, I was in government for up to about 5 years under Agago, and I was in charge of agriculture and poverty alleviation. And they allowed me a free hand to determine how you can reduce the poverty. And so we're taking things, and one of them was this plantain. I just told the governor, please, governor, the plantains are getting off. People are eating something like banana as plantain. He said, what can you do? I said, we can do this one. I said, go and do it. Immediately approved some money, and then we bought suckers, and we are teaching people how to go on. We contacted IITA, and they told us a few more things. And before you know what happens, almost everybody accepted it. And I made sure that in all the local governments, we had 1 acre of land as sample, paid for fully by the government. So teach them, to teach people who come around here. And because of that one, 40% of all the plantains and banana in market today in those places when Ondo, when Jisha, Barauke, Ogbese, Alade, and so on, are all about 40% of people trading in that place are staying with the plantain and banana up to today. So it was so easy that everybody was accepting it. I was in the air almost everywhere, in the television, in the radio, telling people this is how to do it.
This government policy, was it continued? Was it truncated somewhere?
This is the problem. This is the problem what we have. That the most government programs don't continue after a particular, because we had a vision to say, come, seed plantain. We use it to raise cocoa. Anybody wants to plant cocoa, we need plantain. So we never say it is cocoa that nurses, I mean, there's the plantain that nurses the cocoa. But when you are planting it out, it's better for you to have the plantain by a side to provide shade during the dry season. So as soon as the trees grow, the plantain will go. So what can we do is to deliberately plant plantain as a crop. And people are now already doing it. So I just got enough money, and then I made sure that every local government had, even including School of Agriculture, I discovered the teachers there didn't know much of what they were to do. I first of all taught the teachers in the institute, and then now asked them to teach their students about what they want to do. So today, as I said, I repeat it, the 40% of people doing business in the markets in Abaroke, in Leoluji, in Ondo, in Ore, and this and that, and so are in the area buying and selling plantain.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Can we actually feed ourselves as a nation with produce of agriculture?
Yes, it is. The only thing is this one is, as you said, we are coming to become lazy people. For instance, I come from Leoluji, where we have cocoa. Is that okay? And we love pounded yam, but we are no longer growing. When I was young, my father had plantains, the plantation of yam. That at the end of the season, we still had a barn where they tied excess yams in the place. But today it is not. So all the money we are taking from cocoa, the rise in prices, and so we are sending it to people bringing yams from us. So
is there any reason that went into extinction from?
Yes, why in the first place? Because people are getting it is easier to get money from cocoa and using money to buy yam rather than going there. And because of the way in which yam is very labor intensive, also needs planting materials. There are people who are cultivating continuously in the floodplains around Ifo and so on in Ondo State. They plant early. Then okay, and then they harvest early. But when they harvest, they don't cut off the vine. They allow this thing to give another fruit, which they call legume, which is now a planting material in the following year. So if they harvest 1,000 yams, there will be 1,000 seed yam that is going to be produced by them, which they plant for the next season. Whereas the typical us that are not English as well planting, we need 1/3 of the produce this year to plant next year. That is, for every 1 yam you produce, you must leave 1/3 of it to plant for the next year. Whereas the ones that plant early and harvest early have these seeds that are produced, we call legume in Yoruba. All right? Okay? So that's why then they can go on and then plant the second time and so forth.
All right. Interesting. Okay, so you have answered my question. We are going to now move back to yourself. Okay, so tell us about your early life and what happened. Let's take it step by step. Tell us about your early life growing up.
Well, I was born the son of a cocoa farmer and the early child of my mother, but my father has more other children. And we had some uncles that are in the university and so on. When they came home on holidays, we were always there to assist them to get water and so forth. And we're looking at their books and so forth. So early enough, earlier than others, I was forcing them in the house to send me to school. And of course, the time they sent me to school, they said I was not qualified to be admitted into the primary school. They said I should use my hand to touch my ear and so that one. Yeah, like this one. Okay. They touched my ear. And since I was too small, I couldn't. So when I saw other people, when they were doing this one, I knew definitely they would not allow me. So when it was my turn, I went through the back and touched my ear. And then they looked at each other and laughed. And they said I could come in. But I suspect they didn't write my name on the register last year. But I was in the school at the age of 5. At the age of 5. So by the time I was another 1 year, we started, and I left primary school in 57, went to modern school, and then from that place to the higher school, and then to the University of IBADAN to read economics. But while I was reading the economics, I discovered that the instinct in me as a son of a farmer, that I enjoyed being the son of a farmer because you had enough food to eat in the farm. Anytime we went from town to meet them on the farm, there was bushmeat, there was snail, there was a mushroom, there was everything that you could eat. We didn't have that one in the town. So he gave me some encouragement that there's something good in agriculture. So when I was finishing my first degree in economics, I discovered I could go and do masters in agricultural economics in the faculty of agriculture. So I went, and so I got interested in the place, got my master's there, got my PhD there, became professor in the place, and taught there for complete 30-something years.
Oh, excellent. All right, so okay, was your father very interested in you becoming a farmer?
No, at all. Anywhere I went to meet them in the farm every Friday, and we used to trek 10 kilometers. It was when I had a car that I discovered that we were trekking 10 to 11 kilometers every Friday to go and take food from the farm. All right? So my father would shake me and greet me, and then I will try to squeeze my eyes, and Baba would say, "Why are you doing that one?" I said, "Well, come. It is because I don't want your hand to be like my own, hand like this. Because if you drive a pin to my father's hand, it probably will not go in. The place is not going." So he said, "That's why I sent you to school." And I said, "I know that one." Of course, I faced my distance, so, but when, because of the love that I have, because I had to start teaching even farm management at the university, and I taught farm management in the University of IBADAN for 14 years. As a lecturer, senior lecturer, and so on that one. So, and then to show the man that I was interested in what he was doing, because he used the money in cocoa in trading me. So why would I say farming is not good? So before he died, I had farms that were more than 2-3 times what he had. Even as a university professor, I had more farms than my father. Who didn't want me to be?
Are your palm never?
Oh yeah, no, very as soft as anything.
So how that, it means that you did your own farming in a modern way. Why?
Yeah, that's what a lot of us do not know, and because they are not interacting with people, how to do it. I was a teacher, I was a consultant, and so on that one, and I saw opportunities to say, "These are Greek," and then what can I do? If you borrow money for a Greek and you don't do well, you'll be in trouble. So in most cases, we say, invest some of the things that you earn. The only thing is that people say, what about those who didn't have job at all? Again, another problem is this one, is that many people are poor in the brain. But when you are poor in the brain, there's a difference between poverty in the pocket, where you don't have money. But when there is poverty of the brain, you cannot even think how to get out of the poverty. So that's it. That if people know how to do about it, I tell people here, I said, now come and see, cocoa is going up in price and so on. What you need to do is to see, can you get a place? Don't think about a big farm. Think about a small farm where, for example, you have maybe maximum about 2 acres, and you can plant it at a distance very well and make money to do hard pollination. For instance, I was in government, I taught people how to do hard pollination, where a tree can produce more than 100 pods in a year. If by that time now, if for instance somebody lands that one and applies to his farm, he will make it at least 4 kilograms on the tree of cocoa. And at last price, it was 10,000 naira per kilo. That's almost 40,000 naira on one tree. You can't imagine that one before. So it's information, talking to people, and then getting. It's not just sitting down, but people just sit down, as I said, because of the poverty of the brain. They are not thinking at all about what they can do or what they can even do for others. I said for most of the time, I've been teaching. All right, I enjoy teaching, and I've started teaching even when I was still in primary school, teaching other ones below me. And so for the past almost 40-something years, I've been a university teacher. All right, but apart from that one, I have always been also a consultant to the government organization, International World Bank, IFAD, and so on. All right, where, for instance, whatever experience we gained in doing work for them, we use them to train our own children. And then, of course, I go on there to even write papers from whatever job that they've given us in the World Bank, in IFAD, the International, and so on, that one. And then, of course, got promoted and right through to university level at the University of Ibadan. And of course, while we were there was the opportunity to serve in government. And I had a colleague or a friend, Dr. Agagu, late Agagu, who said, come along, come on, some of this entrepreneurship something you are doing, come on, let us do it in Ondo. And so we went there. So we went there as experts, not as politicians. And they allowed us to actually work like experts rather than politicians in the place. And times when the House wanted to disturb us from saying that we are not politicians, but the governor told them, say, I know what they are for. They came here to assist me, they are my advisors, and they are doing their job. And so because of that one, we had a free hand to be able to do that. And almost every month I was bringing a new idea to the government that was giving some little assistance and so on to people like in the plantain. We talked about like the cocoa pollination, like skill acquisition centers. I met only 3. I expanded into about 23 within the period. I made sure that every local government had a multiplication center. I was training and doing everything. I was on the radio. And after we left the government, I went back to the university and then retired. And after retirement, I've been employed in more than about 2 or 3 places. One of them is IBADAN University, where I tried as much as possible to make sure that it became the first university to award a degree in entrepreneurship. Because it was when I got there that they knew where to go and where not to go. All right? And then after that one, I was also in a position to be able to assist them in Medical University Ondo, also in entrepreneurship, in the place, developing them with some of the materials I did with a little variations about the discipline in the different universities. And currently, I'm still visiting Professor Tujabu in this and so on. And then, of course, I am back in my place. I have a school, nursery, primary, and for the past 20-something years, and we must have produced more than about 500 students everywhere, and we already have quite a bit of our own children too, who finish from here are medical doctors, trained in UI, and there's some of them in economics, and there's some of them in computer and so forth, and engineers and so forth.
All right, Daddy. We know that you're not just a professor. You've actually preferred solutions to agriculture, and then you have actually produced supplements from your farm that has a name Setila Logica. And then how does that work? And then how, because I've used it and it's actually very nice, and the efficacy is there. So how did you come about this?
Well, let me tell you basically that they said it might be something from genes in the family. I still have an uncle who is a retired surgeon. He's 95-year-old. He's a retired surgeon. But my grandfather was known to be a psychiatrist, in the sense that nobody was brought to him while he was alive that I knew about it, that did not go back whole. That is, he had the distance. So they think we are the gene, and that's why most of my own children now are doing medicine and so forth. So, which means it's in us. When I went to India on a government mission, I just went to a biotech institute and discovered that there were some plants there, about 1,000 medicinal plants that were there being raised by people and who come to say, this is this one for malaria, this is this one for dysentery, this is this one, and people will go on and multiply it. So I saw one there and they said brain tonic. I was excited and I said, woo, brain tonic. So what does it do? So immediately I said, when I'm going away, director, can you give me? He said, oh, no problem. Then they showed me that day. So I brought that one from India. And I brought it and then multiplied it in Akure and then sent it back to Ilolujiam. That is really a brain tonic. And it's been used over 1,000 years. It's not just now that they discovered it. And it's called Setela Logica, the Shatika. But because we are growing it in Iluji, I said Setela Logica, so that it bears, and it's in the internet. So we're giving it a name in Nigeria, of course, as a brain tonic. Now we then discovered that it does quite more than being a brain tonic, and it works improving the brain, and then anything like you have diabetes and so on, it works with some other things that we also supply, like soursop and so on, to go and improve on the pancreas, the performance of the pancreas. Because they said there is part of the brain that we control the pancreas. This thing will go on and improve that particular one. And we say, okay, this person had diabetes, he needs to secrete more insulin. And that one assists the patient in secreting more insulin that is going to cure the diabetes. And so on like that one. So any part of the brain, so many parts of the brain, that's why you don't say your head is bad. When they say somebody's head is bad and so on, it's terrible. Because once it is bad, it controls quite a bit of things that will not work well. Alright? So, and then I went on without anybody instruction, using my initiative. I created this thing, was either supplied them in a powder form. Later, I went to capsule, and then we went into NAFDAC, and NAFDAC looked at it and accepted it. And now we're distributing them. And we're using them as a lot of things for diabetes, for arthritis, for dementia, for insomnia, and so on.
And it's effective.
And they're very effective. They're in chemistry and so forth. They're in
Yes,
chemistry.
that's why you are this sound. That they would we say that Daddy is as a result at 80? This is logical in reality.
Well, we do that one, but we also say that food is very important and the health of anybody. So we now have them in packaging and so on, another one, and then we're distributing them, and doctors are already recommending them to treat quite a bit of it, particularly for dementia, that people who forget things. There are quite a lot of people after 50, they forget most of the things that they should remember, and then when they take this, it's good, you know. And I was just talking to some of our colleagues here with bonds to say that if you use them continuously, it will restore the hand back to normal, the bones, the scars, and remove some of the scars. It might take a long time, but using it continuously will remove the scars in the body. And the same way that it removes cures the sore outside, when you have ulcer, which is the sore inside, it also heals it. That's it.
Interesting. All right, sir.
And because of that one, while I went to the medical university in Ondo, they discovered, introducing to them, we said it would be a very good idea to introduce it to doctors that are trained the orthodox method, to also appreciate this one. After a few days, a department or a center was set up, a center for herbal medicine in Unimed, which I think they will go on to go and link with the pharmacy faculty when they set them up to start in that one, because not only will they be able to get treatment for people at a cheaper price, they can make a lot of money that will allow them to not to depend on the government for any distance if they can go into some of the herbs. Then what about for a farmer? Everybody knows that you have to eat 3 times a day. And here I tell people, I said, even in Leluji where I am here, 100,000 people, they spend a minimum of 1 million naira every day on pepper. So in a month, we are spending about 150 million. So what you need to do, anybody seeing that figure, is to key into it. How can I earn part of this money? All the one I'm telling you will not go out to Akure and the north to bring the tomato here, and the money is taken off. Well, the problem is this one is that they have to define the youth. What category of people we have that we can call the youth? That's where the greatest problem is. You have said everybody will need to eat. Is that okay? Yeah. So the more you can produce and so on and so forth, the more food that can be available. But when you now say, let us see the youth. Let me give you an example. Obasanjo was in the east, and he went to address some youth. Is that okay? And somebody came out, he put up his hand, wanted to ask a question, and Obasanjo said, "Come, put down your hand. I wanted to talk to the youth." He said, "But you with grey hair, how can you say you are youth?" And the man said, "I am a youth." He said, "Let us sit down and listen to you. What is the definition of your youth?" An able-bodied person, okay, that has no job is a youth. So he's saying that when you are defining youth, it's not that the man is there is no job for him. I am an old man, there is no job for me. So why am I different from the youth in the place? So then the youth you are talking about, is it the youth that has finished school start? Is it the youth that have finished the first degree? What you have put down is something that nobody can just say anything to fix them. You see, because I told you before, there must also be interest in farming. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. There
must be interest in farming. That is, you must have interest in it. And then you must also not to have so much stress. There was a time I was in Akoko and I was lecturing. And one old man said, "Oh, you must be a very good farmer." Before you came, I was supervising the person planting maize here. Is that okay? Even now, I'm still going to supervise him doing something again. Is that okay? The only thing is I'm not doing myself. I am asking people to do it. And I pay them. You know, that's it. So if, for instance, and people are doing it now, is that okay? If they have money and they have somebody in town, the only thing is that we are extremely very lazy. Almost everybody is lazy. They want things easily. Because if it is maize and planting now, 90 days before we get the result, isn't it? People are not prepared to wait. They want the money that is going to come almost immediately now. And that's the problem with everybody in the place. The return from agri does not come. It's quite a bit of risk again, sometimes a little risk in the place. I had raised broiler to the age of 4 weeks before, 500 of them, and they all died of Guboro. So those are the things there that we have so much difficulties that we have not been able to come down, to sit down and try to see this is how to move forward. Is that okay? And then we now say, okay, you are going to be in this portion and so forth. And so on. So the people will know that it's not only me, some other people who are in Greek, who are in palm, who are in cocoa and so on, and we are there together. That's where the first settlement was supposed to have been established before. But because of the way we behaved, we couldn't allow it to go, to continue. That was what we should have benefited from, because it was copied from Israel. For us to be able to live in the place, provide them with the electricity, school and everything in the place, and then you live normally like any other person. No, agriculture needs subsidy. There's no doubt about that. All the things that the farmer needs to be able to produce well. Is that okay? Either the good roads to remove the produce, the farmer cannot do it himself. Is that okay? The fertilizer that he needs in the place, I just bought 2 yesterday, and they say they are about 28,000 naira per bag of 50 kilograms. Most of the farmers will not be able to do this one by them. So it must come down to a level in which those people will have them, and so on. But if the government buys it, and the government of a few states are already doing it. I saw one of Niger saying he saved some of the money that he got for these palliatives. He's using them to buy tractors. That's a very good way of starting. So because what 10 people will do in a day, the tractor will do it in about 3 hours. So the man doesn't have to have any stress at all. The government should subsidize the agriculture in all the different areas there in the place.
Alright, sir. Alright, sir. So on a final note, what would you want to be known for or remembered for?
As a simple Adeduro Adegeye, born in Eluji some 80 years ago, and they're making a lot of efforts to impact upon people's lives from as small as maybe age 10 to now, and to make sure that at least we leave something for the world to see that we pass through this place.
Earlier on we were eating this.
Yeah.
It looks so nice, very golden, and was it cooked?
No, this is fresh. This is jackfruit, and it comes from Southeast Asia. Okay. Southeast Asia. It constitutes major food for families. If you have a 5 kilogram fruit that you see on the distance and so on, it can feed the family of 4, because apart from this pulp, it also has seed inside where you cook again and you can eat. So if you have one weighing about 10 kilogram, 4 or 5 kilogram, it can feed the family of 4.
And it tastes so nice.
Yeah, it's jackfruit. It's jack of all fruits. It tastes like banana, like apple, like a pineapple, and so on, as many fruits.
Guys, you need to test this fruit called jackfruit. It's I don't know how to describe it. It's just nice, very sweet, very nice, and the color is so fascinating. I love it. I don't know what it tastes like, but it's just sweet. Like there is sugar in it, like there is flavor in it, there is very nice. Jackfruit, ask Google, will tell you the health benefits of jackfruit.